All right, one more video and we'll call it a day. So, next question, Sabra. Did you have any favorite classes when you were in high school? And what kind of student were you? So, that's a good question. Yeah, I definitely had favorite classes for sure. I loved, there was like this advanced PE class, which was super fun. Or basically, we just played games every day, like dodgeball, ultimate frisbee, volleyball, all kinds of just cool games, that weren't necessarily like sports per se, but they're just games. Kickball, all kinds of stuff. That was great. I think, who was the teacher in that? I don't think it was Mr. Thompson. I want to say it was Rob Heckman, who was the football coach. He was a super cool dude, older guy. I don't know if you ever knew him. I don't think he was teaching when you were in school. So there was that one. And then drafting. I really liked drafting class. My teacher for the first, I think, 2-3 years, his name was Mr. Conley. I believe his first name was Pat Conley. He was quite the character. Yeah, he was kind of this grouchy old guy. But he always had like a good smile, and every once in a while he'd come out of his shell and crack some jokes, but he was kind of a grouch. But he was like he wasn't a creeper, but he'd always give the girls preferential treatment. Like they'd always get better grades and he'd always be more smiley and nice to them. He definitely wasn't like a creep, but it was like, what the heck, man? Why are you so nice to them, but you're such jerks to us? But yeah, I still, I really liked him. Mr. Conley was an allergies. He was a great teacher. I really liked him. I think I'm pretty sure he retired like after my junior year, and then we got a new teacher. He was an interesting character. He was like probably mid-40s, and he had glasses and a rat tail. He was kind of a dork. But he was a really nice guy. I remember him being a really nice guy, but he was kind of a dork. And that's okay, whatever. But yeah, I took drafting classes all throughout high school. I really enjoyed that, and I thrived in that. I really liked to, draw technical drawings with my hands, and I always thought it was really fascinating. And yeah, I took that, I think, all 4 years in high school. And yeah, what do you know? I'm still doing that stuff today, just with a computer. So it definitely translated. As far as what kind of student was I'd say I didn't go as hard as I could have. That's definitely very accurate. I definitely gave my attention to drafting. Like I said, I was really interested in that, and so I'd give full attention to that and pay attention and do really good in that. My other classes were just like blah. I was more concerned about hanging out with my friends, doing fun stuff. And I didn't get bad grades. No, I definitely didn't. I got probably, as far as a GPA goes, I think I got like 3 point, maybe 5. No, not that high. Like a 3.3, something like that, if we want to be technical. But, like I said, I really wasn't giving full 100% effort. I could have done much better, and yeah. But that was my choice. I definitely don't regret it. I do remember something very specifically, though. In my junior year of high school, I went and because, you know, you need to talk to a academic counselor, I think, before your senior year, or maybe every year, I can't remember, just to like see where you're at and what you're interested in, and if you want to go to school and blah blah blah. Really important. I don't mean to minimize it, but anyways, so I want to say it was my junior year of high school, and I went in the office to go see Miss Portman. And so Miss Portman was the academic advisor. Everybody knew who she was. She was kind of a, and if you want to speak of somebody who plays favorites, that was the most obvious. She'd be so bright and cheery towards, you know, her favorites, very vocal and verbal towards them, and then would be exactly the opposite towards everyone else. And everybody knew that, and it didn't feel good. I think I was like somewhere in the middle. You know, I was a bit more quiet, but she knew that I had capability and, you know, I didn't get in trouble and whatnot. But I'll never forget, she brought me into the office, or I went into her office, and she said, this is the gist of it. She said, Casey, you know, you're a really good kid. I'm from a good family. Can tell that you're really smart, you know, but it doesn't seem like you're putting in what you're capable of. You know, I know who your friends are. And she listed off all my friends. And she said, you know, I'm sorry to say, Casey, but, you know, I think that your friends are dragging you down, and I don't think you're ever going to reach your capabilities if you keep hanging out with your friends. So, you know, if you want to be successful and do better in life, you need to find new friends. That's the gist of it. Like, I know she probably didn't say those exact words, but the way that she communicated it to me that was what I heard. Like, basically, you're not going to be anything in life unless you drop your friends. And I didn't like that. I don't think I was rude like when I left, and I just said, oh, okay, well, they're still my friends. But I didn't change that. And kind of in a sense, it was almost like a rebel inside of me that came out. Like, no, I'm not going to change my friends. I love my friends. I've done nothing but have great memories and done cool stuff with my friends. So whatever, I don't give a shit if I'm a success or not. And yeah, that's kind of where I took that. And I mean, that probably was part of me not really fully applying myself. And I don't regret that. Not even a tiny bit. Because I am, a big part of who I am is because of my friends. So, and I'd like to think I'm a pretty awesome guy. So my friends have contributed significantly to who I am as a person. So I think I made a good decision there. Anyways, that be that. I'm about finished up with my walk, so I'm going to call this one a day. We'll see you on the next one, kiddo. Love you.